Hey guys, welcome to Science Owl Station. Today we begin something very slow, very quiet, and surprisingly ancient. Imagine, just for a moment, that the ground beneath your feet is not solid, not restless, but deeply asleep. Beneath cities, forests, oceans, and mountains, the earth has been holding its breath for millions of years. Not in emptiness, but in memory. Tonight, we're not chasing discoveries or racing toward revelations. We're gently uncovering them, one by one, like lifting a blanket without waking what rests underneath. As you listen, picture yourself standing on a calm, dimly lit plain at dusk. The air is still. Time feels stretched thin. Somewhere below you, objects formed long before humans learned to count days are lying quietly, unchanged, unbothered, untouched. These are not treasures in the dramatic sense. They don't glow or call out for attention. They simply exist, patiently, waiting for someone curious enough and calm enough to notice. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you feel like it, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from tonight, and what time it is where you are. Some of you might be hearing this late at night, others just before sleep, and a few perhaps while the world outside is slowly waking up. Wherever you are, let the world slow down for a while, soften your gaze, let the hum of life around you fade, and gently drift with us into tonight's quiet exploration. The idea that Earth can sleep may sound poetic, but in a geological sense, it's surprisingly accurate. Much of what makes this planet extraordinary happens without movement, without sound, and without urgency. Minerals grow one atom at a time. Metals crystallize in darkness. Fossils wait in silence. These processes don't rush. They don't react to calendars. They unfold on timescales so vast that even mountains seem impatient by comparison. Tonight's journey is built around what we might call sleepy facts. Not because they're boring, quite the opposite, but because they invite a slower kind of attention. These are facts that don't demand excitement. They reward stillness. Each one is a reminder that rarity is often a product of patience, and that some of the most remarkable things on Earth were created while nothing appeared to be happening at all. As humans, we're used to looking for action, movement, change. But beneath that instinct lies a quieter truth. Much of Earth's history is written in pauses, in waiting, in long stretches of apparent nothingness. The rare objects we'll encounter throughout this series, stones, metals, remnants of life, fragments from space, are not anomalies. They're the natural outcome of time being allowed to do its work undisturbed. Think of a crystal forming deep underground. No light reaches it. No sound. The temperature barely changes. And yet, slowly, layer by layer, order emerges from chaos. Atoms settle into patterns that will not be seen for millions of years, if they are seen at all. Many of these objects remain hidden forever, dissolved back into the earth without ever being known. Rarity, then, is not just about how few exist, but how few are ever noticed. There's something oddly comforting about that. The idea that the world doesn't need witnesses to be extraordinary. That beauty can exist quietly, without applause. That entire stories can unfold beneath our feet while we go about our lives completely unaware. As we move through these 100 sleepy facts, you'll notice a rhythm. Objects formed slowly, discovered accidentally, preserved by chance, forgotten, then remembered. Again and again, the same pattern repeats. Not because Earth is predictable, but because time itself has a kind of gentle consistency. It presses softly. It waits. And eventually, it leaves behind something rare. Some of these objects were born from pressure so intense it reshaped matter itself. Others arrived from space, falling silently into oceans or deserts, cooling as they slept. Some were once alive, breathing, growing, responding to sunlight, before being frozen in a moment that never ended. And a few were shaped by human hands, only to be abandoned, misplaced, or sealed away, their purpose fading faster than the materials they were made from. What unites them all is stillness. Not the absence of meaning, but the absence of urgency. Listening to these stories isn't about memorizing names or dates. It's about allowing your mind to drift alongside processes that don't hurry you. Letting your thoughts slow down to match the pace of geology, of deep time, of quiet transformation. You don't need to visualize everything perfectly. You don't need to hold on to every detail. Let the facts pass by like distant constellations, present, steady, unconcerned with whether you're watching closely or simply feeling their presence. As the night deepens, these objects will begin to feel less like curiosities and more like companions. Silent reminders that the world has always been larger, older, and calmer than our daily worries suggest. That long before alarms and schedules and screens, the Earth was already very good at waiting. And it still is. This first section is only a doorway. A soft threshold between the busy surface world and the quieter layers beneath it. From here, we'll descend slowly into minerals that almost never form, fragments that traveled across the universe, and remnants of lives paused in stone. There's no rush to get there. Time has already done the hard part for us. For now, just settle into the idea that beneath everything familiar lies something rare, resting comfortably, exactly where it has always been. There is a particular kind of quiet that exists deep beneath the Earth's surface. Not the quiet of an empty room, but a dense, patient stillness shaped by pressure, darkness, and time. It's here, far below soil and stone, that some of the rarest objects on our planet begin their long, unnoticed lives. They don't announce themselves. They don't sparkle in the dark. They simply form, slowly, obediently, according to rules written long before humans learned to observe them. Many of Earth's rarest minerals are not rare because they are fragile or fleeting. They are rare because the conditions required to create them are so precise that they almost never happen. A narrow window of temperature. A specific pressure. Just the right chemical companions arriving at just the right moment. Miss any one of those conditions, and the mineral never exists at all. Some minerals form only once in a geological era, in a single pocket of rock that remains sealed for millions of years. Others appear briefly, then are destroyed by the same forces that created them, heat, water, or movement in the crust. What remains is often a solitary crystal, no larger than a fingernail, carrying the quiet memory of an environment that no longer exists anywhere on Earth. There are minerals so rare that for decades they were known only from a single sample. Scientists debated whether they were even real, or simply misidentified mixtures of other materials. Their names appeared in textbooks as footnotes, almost mythical, acknowledged, but never truly understood. Meanwhile, the Earth remained unconcerned, continuing its slow work far below. What's fascinating is that these minerals don't form quickly, even by geological standards. They grow atom by atom, sometimes over tens of thousands of years, in complete darkness. No vibration disturbs them. No sound reaches them. The surrounding rock becomes both cradle and shield, protecting their delicate structures from disruption. In many cases, these minerals are discovered by accident. A miner breaks open a rock expecting something common, quartz, feldspar, iron, and instead finds something entirely unfamiliar. A crystal with an unusual color. A structure that doesn't quite make sense. Often, it takes years of analysis to confirm that the object is truly something new, something extraordinarily rare. By the time we give these minerals names, they've already completed their entire existence. Their story of formation is over. All that remains is preservation and study. In that sense, every rare mineral is a finished sentence written by the Earth, handed to us long after the author has moved on. Some of these stones appear unremarkable at first glance. Muted colors. Simple shapes. They don't compete for attention. But under careful examination, their internal structures reveal impossibly precise arrangements, atomic patterns that could only exist under conditions we can barely recreate in laboratories. Others display subtle beauty, soft pinks, deep violets, or translucent greens that seem to absorb light rather than reflect it. These colors are not decorative. They are records, evidence of trace elements present during formation, frozen into place forever. What makes these minerals especially calming to think about is their indifference to discovery. Whether found or not, they remain exactly what they are. Their value doesn't come from being rare to us, but from being inevitable outcomes of Earth's slow chemistry. We are simply late to the conversation. And perhaps that's the most soothing realization of all. That while human history feels urgent and loud, the planet operates on a much quieter rhythm. While civilizations rise and fall, these stones sleep undisturbed, growing, resting, or dissolving back into the earth without ceremony. As we move deeper into this journey, remember that rarity is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's the result of everything happening exactly once, and never again. These dream stones beneath the crust are not anomalies. They are the earth doing what it does best, taking its time. Long before humans looked up and wondered what might be falling from the sky, objects from far beyond Earth were already arriving quietly, without ceremony. They didn't crash with fire and noise the way movies imagine. Many of them drifted down gently, slowed by the atmosphere, cooling as they settled into deserts, forests, ice sheets, or oceans. And once they arrived, they slept. Some of these visitors had been traveling for billions of years. Not days, not centuries, but spans of time so long that entire solar systems formed and dissolved while they were still moving through the dark. When they finally reached Earth, their journey ended not with drama, but with stillness. Meteorites are often described as messengers from space, but they behave more like weary travelers. After surviving violent beginnings, collisions, explosions, gravitational chaos, they come to rest and remain unchanged for thousands of years. Many lie unnoticed just beneath the surface, indistinguishable from ordinary stones, patiently waiting to be mistaken for nothing special at all. There is something deeply calming about that idea. That an object older than the Earth itself can arrive here and simply lie down. Some meteorites are fragments of ancient asteroids that never became planets. Others come from worlds that no longer exist, broken apart long before life appeared here. A few are even believed to originate from the Moon or Mars, ejected by impacts and carried silently across space until Earth crossed their path. Once here, time slows even further. In dry deserts or frozen ice fields, meteorites can remain preserved for tens of thousands of years. Wind passes over them. Snow buries them. Sunlight warms them briefly, then leaves again. They don't react. They don't erode quickly. They simply remain. Alongside meteorites, there is another group of spaceborne objects even more dreamlike, tektites. These are natural glasses formed when a meteorite strikes Earth with such force that surface materials melt instantly and are flung into the air. While still liquid, they cool and harden mid-flight, falling back to the ground as smooth, dark shapes. Tektites are not fully from space, and not fully from Earth. They exist in between, born in violence, finished in silence. Many have been found resting undisturbed in soil layers for hundreds of thousands of years, their glassy surfaces still bearing the marks of their brief moment of flight. Unlike volcanic glass, tektites have traveled through the sky before touching down. They fell hot, then cooled, then slept. Entire civilizations rose and fell above them while they remained exactly where they landed. What's remarkable is how often these objects go unnoticed. A meteorite can sit in plain sight for centuries, mistaken for an ordinary rock. A tektite can be picked up, examined, and put back down without anyone realizing what it is. Their rarity does not announce itself. When scientists finally identify them, it's usually through quiet observation, density, composition, subtle clues that hint at an origin beyond Earth. There's no rush, no urgency, just careful attention. And perhaps that's fitting. These objects come from places where urgency doesn't exist, where motion is measured in millions of years and silence is the default state. When they arrive on Earth, they bring that rhythm with them. As you imagine these sleeping visitors beneath sand, ice, or soil, let your thoughts slow to match their pace. They are reminders that not everything that moves through the universe arrives with intention. Some things simply drift, arrive, and rest. In the next quiet descent, we'll turn to objects that never left Earth at all, but still carry the weight of deep time. Remnants of life paused so completely that even decay was asked to wait. There are moments in Earth's history when life does not end, it simply stops moving. Not suddenly, not violently, but completely. Breath pauses. Growth halts. And time, for once, does not erase what remains. These moments are what we later call fossils, though that word barely captures what they truly are, lives gently interrupted, then carried forward by stone. Most of the time, when a living thing dies, it disappears quickly. Soft tissue decays. Bones scatter. Traces fade. But on rare occasions, the conditions are just right for preservation. Sediment settles gently. Oxygen is limited. Bacteria slow their work. And before the body can fall apart, it is sealed away, tucked into the earth like a sleeping memory. Some fossils are familiar, bones pressed flat, shells outlined in rock. But the rarest ones tell quieter, more intimate stories. Feathers that still show delicate barbs. Leaves with veins perfectly traced. Insects trapped mid-step, wings half open, as if time hesitated before moving on. There are fossils that preserve color, not imagined color, but real pigments locked into place. Hints of reds, browns, and blues that once served purposes we can only guess at. Camouflage, attraction, warning. These colors have outlasted entire ecosystems, waiting patiently for someone to notice them again. Even more extraordinary are fossils that preserve soft tissue, muscle fibers, skin impressions. In rare cases, traces of internal organs. These are moments so unlikely that they feel almost accidental, as if the Earth briefly forgot its usual rules. For something so fragile to survive, decay itself had to be delayed, asked, politely, to wait. Amber offers another kind of stillness. Sticky tree resin flows slowly, traps something small, and hardens over time. Inside, insects, pollen, and plant fragments remain suspended exactly as they were. No movement, no aging, just quiet containment. Entire ancient forests have left behind these tiny time capsules, each one holding a breath from millions of years ago. What makes these fossils especially calming to think about is their honesty. They don't dramatize extinction. They don't shout about catastrophe. They simply show that life existed, moved, paused, and was preserved. Not everything fossilized was rare in its own time, but becoming a fossil made it rare forever. Fossils also remind us how slow Earth can be when it chooses. Layers build gently on top of one another. Pressure increases almost imperceptibly. Minerals seep in, replacing organic material molecule by molecule. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. The process unfolds like a long exhale. And all the while, above ground, time continues. Rivers shift. Mountains rise. Climates change. Entire species appear and vanish. Yet beneath it all, these remnants lie undisturbed, holding their shape, waiting without intention. When we uncover a fossil, we're not interrupting its sleep, we're simply noticing it. The fossil doesn't change when it's discovered. Its story was already complete long before we arrived. We're just listening late. As you imagine these forms resting in stone, feathers folded, wings still, leaves pressed flat, allow that stillness to settle into your thoughts. Life once moved here. Then it rested. And in resting, it endured. Next, we'll drift downward again, away from land and into the deep, quiet places beneath the oceans, where weight, darkness, and water keep secrets even longer. The ocean is not just a place of movement. Yes, waves roll, currents circle the globe, and tides rise and fall with quiet regularity, but beneath all of that motion lies a deeper stillness. A vast, heavy calm where sunlight fades, sound softens, and time seems to slow almost to a stop. It's here, under kilometers of water, that some of Earth's rarest objects rest beneath a moving blanket. Pressure increases gently as you descend. Colors disappear one by one. Red fades first, then yellow, then green, until everything becomes a deep, unbroken blue. Eventually, even that dissolves into darkness. And in this darkness, objects lie untouched for centuries, sometimes millennia, protected not by walls or locks, but by depth. The ocean floor is often imagined as barren, but in reality it is a quiet archive. Volcanic glass forms where molten rock meets cold seawater, cooling so quickly that crystals never have time to grow. These glassy fragments scatter across the seabed, their sharp edges slowly softened by time, not erosion. Each piece records an instant, fire meeting water, then settles into stillness. Scattered among these natural forms are human artifacts that slipped gently into sleep. Ships that sank without fire or collapse. Cargo holds sealed by water, preserving wood, metal, and fabric in ways air never could. In the cold, oxygen-poor depths, decay slows to a whisper. Objects remain exactly where they fell, as if the ocean agreed to keep watch over them. Some shipwrecks carry metals that no longer exist in that form. Pure alloys made before modern industrial contamination. Copper, bronze, and iron preserved in their original state, sleeping beneath layers of sediment. They don't corrode quickly down here. They age slowly, politely, as though respecting the quiet. There are also living structures that become rare objects simply by growing without interruption. Deep-sea corals, for example, can take thousands of years to form. They grow millimeter by millimeter, in complete darkness, feeding on particles drifting down from far above. Each branch records centuries of calm persistence, untouched by storms or seasons. Occasionally, the ocean reveals objects that seem out of place, stones rounded too perfectly, formations shaped by currents that no longer exist, remnants of volcanic events long forgotten. These things were never meant to be found. They were meant to rest, shaped once, then left alone. What makes the ocean such an effective guardian of rarity is not hostility, but indifference. The depths don't demand attention. They don't invite exploration. They simply continue, layer after layer, covering what lies below with patience. Even today, most of the seafloor remains unseen. Objects lie where they settled, knowing nothing of discovery or value. Their stories are complete without witnesses. The ocean does not rush to share them. As you imagine these quiet treasures, glass formed in an instant, ships resting in perfect stillness, corals growing without ever seeing light, allow your thoughts to drift downward too. Let the weight of the water press gently on your awareness, slowing everything just a little more. Above, waves move endlessly. Below, almost nothing moves at all. And from this deep calm, we'll soon rise again, not to the surface, but toward objects shaped by pressure and patience within the earth itself, where beauty took millions of years to learn how to exist. Some of the earth's most quietly beautiful creations are not shaped by urgency, but by endurance. Gems and rare stones are often thought of as symbols of luxury or desire, but their true story is far calmer than that. Long before they were polished or named, these stones existed as slow conversations between heat, pressure, and time, conversations that unfolded far beyond the reach of light or sound. Many gemstones take millions of years to form, and some take even longer just to become what they are meant to be. They do not grow in straight lines or predictable shapes. Instead, they respond gently to their surroundings. A slight change in temperature here. A trace element drifting in there. Over time, these small influences leave permanent marks, tiny imperfections that tell the story of patience. Some stones carry water within them, sealed away during formation. Microscopic droplets trapped inside crystals have remained untouched for millions of years, older than rivers, older than mountains. They don't move. They don't evaporate. They simply exist, suspended in stillness, like breath held forever. Other gems form with internal gardens, webs of mineral inclusions that look like frozen landscapes. These are not flaws. They are records. Evidence of shifting conditions, pauses, and resumptions during growth. Each inclusion is a moment when formation slowed, changed direction, or briefly rested before continuing. What makes these stones especially soothing to think about is how little they care about perfection. Nature does not polish away irregularities. It keeps them. A stone may crack slightly, then continue forming around that crack, turning interruption into structure. What humans might call a defect becomes the very thing that makes the gem rare. Colors, too, arrive quietly. A trace of chromium, a whisper of iron, a hint of vanadium, just enough to change how light moves through the stone. These colors are not painted on. They are consequences. They exist because the environment allowed them to exist. Some gemstones are found only in a single location on Earth. Not because the planet is unwilling to repeat itself, but because the exact conditions that made them have never aligned again. Pressure shifted. Temperatures changed. Tectonic plates moved on. And the window closed, gently. When these stones are finally discovered, their active life is already over. They will never grow again. They will never change internally. Their formation story is complete. All that remains is observation. Thinking about this can be strangely calming. To know that something so beautiful was never rushed. That its value comes not from brilliance, but from time allowed to pass without interference. These stones did not strive to be rare. They simply had the patience to become so. As your thoughts linger on these quiet gems, water held in crystal, colors born from trace elements, let yourself slow down as well. Nothing here is urgent. Nothing needs to be finished tonight. In the next gentle descent, we'll move away from geology and into objects shaped by hands long gone, artifacts and devices that once carried knowledge, then fell into silence, waiting just as patiently as stone. There are objects that were never meant to be mysterious. When they were first created, their purpose was clear, their function understood, their meaning shared by the people who made them. They belonged to a living world of hands, voices, and daily routines. And then, slowly, that world faded away, leaving the objects behind, resting in silence. Unlike stones or fossils, these artifacts did not form naturally. They were shaped by intention, by curiosity, by problem-solving minds working with the materials available to them at the time. And yet, despite being made by humans, many of these objects are now as quiet and enigmatic as anything pulled from deep underground. Some were buried deliberately, placed carefully in the ground as offerings, records, or safekeeping. Others were lost, dropped, abandoned, or sealed away by collapse or disaster. Over time, soil settled. Structures crumbled. Names were forgotten. And the objects remained untouched, unaware that the knowledge required to understand them would one day disappear. What makes these artifacts especially calming to think about is the way they resist urgency. They don't demand explanation. They don't insist on being solved. For centuries, some lay unnoticed, their surfaces slowly dulled by mineral deposits, their edges softened by time. When they were eventually found, they did not rush to give up their secrets. There are devices whose complexity seems out of place in their era. Gears aligned with quiet precision. Materials combined in ways that feel strangely modern. Symbols arranged with deliberate care, yet without any surviving key to interpret them fully. These objects feel like paused conversations, sentences begun, then left unfinished. Other artifacts are simple in form but mysterious in substance. alloys that cannot be easily reproduced, materials processed in ways no longer practiced, techniques that vanished as communities shifted or collapsed. The knowledge wasn't destroyed. It simply drifted away, leaving the object behind as a kind of echo. What's soothing here is the absence of drama. These things were not hidden to deceive. They were not lost in panic. They were simply overtaken by time. Human attention moved on, as it always does, while the objects stayed exactly where they were. When archaeologists encounter these artifacts, discovery is rarely loud or sudden. It happens slowly. A brush removes dust. A shape emerges. Measurements are taken. Silence stretches. Interpretation follows cautiously, with long pauses and careful language. No one rushes to conclusions. And often, conclusions never fully arrive. These objects remind us that knowledge itself can sleep. Not destroyed, not erased, just dormant. Waiting without expectation. They show us that forgetting is not always violent. Sometimes it's gentle, almost polite. As you imagine these artifacts resting beneath layers of earth, tools no longer understood, mechanisms no longer explained, allow that sense of quiet uncertainty to settle in. Not everything needs to be resolved. Not every story requires an ending. Next, we'll move into places where even forgetting slows to a halt, where cold preserves memory so completely that time itself seems hesitant to move. Cold has a way of slowing everything down. Movements soften. Reactions pause. Even sound seems to travel more carefully. In the coldest places on Earth, time itself appears reluctant to move forward. Ice does not rush. It accumulates gently, layer by layer, holding on to whatever becomes trapped within it. And in doing so, it becomes one of the planet's quietest archives. Deep within glacier and polar ice sheets, air from ancient atmospheres remains sealed in tiny bubbles. Each one is a preserved breath, inhaled by the planet tens or hundreds of thousands of years ago. These bubbles do not change. They do not mix. They simply wait, suspended in frozen stillness, carrying memories of climates long gone. Ice cores pulled from these depths read like calm timelines. Year after year, snowfall settled, compressed, and froze, recording volcanic eruptions, dust storms, and subtle shifts in temperature. Nothing dramatic. Just steady accumulation. A patient stacking of moments that no one noticed as they happened. Sometimes, ice preserves more than air. Entire organisms have been found frozen in place, plants, insects, and even large animals. Not fossilized. Not mineralized. Simply cold. Muscles intact. Skin preserved. As if life stepped into the cold and never quite stepped back out again. What makes these discoveries so quieting to think about is how little interference is involved. There is no transformation, no chemical replacement, no dramatic process. Cold simply asks decay to slow down. And decay listens. In some cases, microorganisms preserved in ice remain dormant rather than destroyed. They do not grow. They do not die. They wait. Decades pass. Centuries. Millennia. Their existence becomes a pause rather than an ending. Permafrost, ground that never fully thaws, extends this stillness across landscapes. Beneath tundra and frozen soil, organic material rests almost unchanged. Roots, seeds, and remnants of ancient ecosystems remain tucked away, their return postponed indefinitely. What's calming here is the simplicity of preservation. No pressure. No force. Just temperature holding everything gently in place. Ice does not reshape what it holds. It keeps it as it was. As you imagine these frozen layers, air-trapped in crystal, organisms resting without decay, let your thoughts cool as well. Let them slow. Let them settle. There is no urgency here. Only waiting. From this frozen quiet, we'll soon move toward objects shaped not by cold or pressure, but by living beings themselves, materials created slowly, intentionally, and then left behind, resting as quietly as ice. Some rare objects are not shaped by fire, pressure, or ice, but by living beings going about their lives without any awareness of the value their creations would one day hold. These objects were never meant to be collected, displayed, or preserved. They were formed slowly, instinctively, as part of survival, communication, or shelter. And yet, over time, they became some of the quietest and most sought-after materials on Earth. Unlike minerals or metals, these materials begin warm, alive. They grow gradually, responding to seasons, nutrition, and environment. Each layer is added patiently, without intention, without design. Growth happens because it must, not because it is aiming for beauty or rarity. Some of these objects take years to form, others decades. A few require an entire lifetime of slow accumulation. Their creators are unaware of the passage of time in the way humans measure it. They follow rhythms instead, cycles of feeding, resting, migrating, returning. And through these cycles, material slowly takes shape. What makes these objects especially calming to think about is their honesty. They are not engineered. They are not refined. They are the physical result of life simply continuing. Layer after layer. Season after season. In some cases, these materials were gathered by humans long ago, valued for their strength, texture, or symbolic meaning. Over time, demand grew louder than patience. The quiet pace at which nature produced them could not keep up. And so, many of these objects became rare not because they were always uncommon, but because they were never meant to be rushed. Others remained hidden, overlooked, or inaccessible. Found only in remote places. Formed under specific conditions that few environments could sustain. Their rarity is not the result of loss, but of isolation. There is also something deeply soothing about knowing that these materials carry traces of life without being alive themselves. They hold the record of growth, of nourishment, of time passing gently. They are neither fully natural objects nor human-made artifacts. They exist in between. When preserved, these materials do not change quickly. They age slowly, quietly, retaining the marks of their formation. Fine lines, subtle textures, variations that reflect the environment in which they grew. No two are exactly alike, because no two lives unfold in exactly the same way. As you imagine these objects, formed by creatures following instinct rather than intention, allow yourself to release the idea of productivity. Nothing here was optimized. Nothing was hurried. Value emerged simply because time was allowed to pass undisturbed. In the next section, we'll return once more to the Earth itself, to landscapes and formations shaped without life, without tools, and without awareness, structures so strange and precise they feel almost dreamlike in their stillness. There are places on Earth where the landscape itself seems to have been shaped while dreaming. Not sculpted by hands, not carved with intention, but formed slowly, almost absent-mindedly, by forces that were never in a hurry. These are the geological oddities, stones that move without sound, caverns that grow crystals like frozen light, and shapes so precise they feel imagined rather than made. In certain quiet valleys, large stones rest on flat ground marked by long, delicate trails. No footprints surround them. No signs of force. Over decades, these stones shift position, gliding slowly across the surface as if nudged by something unseen. The movement is so rare, so subtle, that generations can pass without anyone noticing it happen. When it does occur, it happens in silence, guided by thin sheets of ice, gentle winds, and patient gravity. Elsewhere, deep underground, entire caves exist where crystals grow to extraordinary sizes. These formations are not rushed into place. They expand millimeter by millimeter in warm, mineral-rich water, undisturbed for hundreds of thousands of years. No light reaches them. No vibration interrupts them. They grow until the environment changes, then they stop, perfectly content to remain as they are. Some geological forms appear almost too symmetrical to be natural. Near-perfect stone spheres scattered across landscapes. Columns that rise with uniform spacing. Hexagonal patterns repeating without variation. These shapes were not designed. They are simply what matter does when conditions remain stable long enough for order to emerge. What makes these structures especially calming is that they are not rare because they are fragile. They are rare because they require consistency, conditions that remain unchanged for immense spans of time. A single interruption can prevent them from forming entirely. Stability, in nature, is a luxury. Many of these formations were created without any life nearby. No plants. No animals. No observers. They existed alone, shaped by temperature, chemistry, and gravity, then left untouched for ages. When humans eventually arrived, these places were already complete. Even erosion here feels gentle. Wind smooths edges slowly. Water polishes surfaces over centuries. Nothing tears. Nothing rushes. Change happens, but it happens quietly. Thinking about these geological oddities invites a different relationship with time. They remind us that precision does not always come from control. Sometimes it comes from letting conditions remain unchanged long enough for patterns to settle into place. As you picture stones gliding imperceptibly, crystals growing in darkness, and landscapes arranging themselves without awareness, let your own thoughts drift into that same patient rhythm. Nothing here asks for your attention urgently. Everything unfolds at its own pace. From these dreamlike structures, we'll soon move toward substances born even deeper within the earth, metals and alloys that formed naturally, slowly collecting themselves in silence long before they were ever valued. Deep beneath the earth's surface, far below the places where air and water can reach, metals form without fire, without tools, and without witnesses. They do not flow or glow. They do not announce themselves. Instead, they gather quietly, atom by atom, following rules older than life itself. These are the metals and natural alloys that exist not because they were made, but because the earth allowed them to be. Most metals we encounter are extracted, melted, refined, and shaped by human effort. But some metals form already complete. Native gold curls into delicate shapes within rock fractures. Copper gathers into solid masses, untouched by oxidation, resting patiently in darkness. These metals were never molten in human furnaces. They assembled themselves slowly, guided by pressure, chemistry, and time. What's especially calming about these formations is their restraint. Growth happens only where conditions permit it. A small shift in temperature or chemistry can halt the process entirely. And when growth stops, the metal does not decay. It waits. Certain natural alloys are so rare that they appear almost theoretical. Elements that usually repel one another occasionally bond under very specific conditions, creating materials stronger and denser than anything intentionally produced. These alloys do not spread. They remain confined to small pockets, isolated, content with their limited existence. Unlike crystals, these metals do not seek symmetry. They curl, branch, and cluster unpredictably, following paths of least resistance through stone. Their shapes feel organic, almost botanical, as if metal briefly forgot it wasn't alive. There's also something soothing about knowing these materials formed in complete isolation. No light reached them. No sound disturbed them. Entire ecosystems above lived and vanished while these metals quietly assembled themselves, unchanging, unobserved. When discovered, they are often left mostly as they are. Polishing them would erase their story. Their value lies not in shine, but in form, in the record of how slowly they came to be. As you imagine these hidden metals resting in darkness, allow your thoughts to settle too. Nothing here needed improvement. Nothing needed acceleration. The Earth did exactly enough, and then stopped. Next, we'll gently shift away from natural creation and toward objects made by humans, but made so rarely, and remembered so quietly, that they now rest in the same category of stillness as stone and metal. Some objects were created by human hands, yet ended up living the rest of their existence in silence. They were not mass-produced. They were not repeated. In many cases, they were never meant to be rare at all. Rarity found them later, after interest faded, after priorities shifted, after the world quietly moved on. These are objects born from intention, but abandoned by time. A single prototype. An experimental design. A book printed once and never again. A tool made for a problem that no longer exists. When their moment passed, they were not destroyed. They were simply set aside, placed on shelves, sealed in archives, or stored in drawers where dust settled gently year after year. What makes these objects especially restful to think about is how little drama surrounds their disappearance. There was no announcement. No ending ceremony. Production stopped, attention drifted, and the object remained, complete, functional, and increasingly alone. Some of these items were created at turning points in history. Transitional technologies, sitting between old methods and new ones. They worked, but not well enough. Or they worked too well, but arrived at the wrong time. Eventually, they were replaced by simpler, faster, cheaper solutions. Their usefulness faded faster than their physical form. Others were rare from the beginning. Crafted in such small numbers that they barely entered public awareness. A single artisan's experiment. A limited scientific instrument. A design that required too much patience to reproduce. These objects did not fail, they simply asked for more time than the world was willing to give. There is a gentle sadness here, but also calm. These things were never broken. They were completed, then allowed to rest. In storage rooms and museum vaults, they remain exactly as they were when last touched. Springs still tense. Ink still legible. Mechanisms still aligned. No one rushes to wake them. When historians or curators rediscover these items, the process is slow and careful. Gloves. Soft lighting. Long pauses. The object is not expected to perform. It is simply observed, respected for existing at all. Thinking about these rare human-made objects can be strangely comforting. They remind us that not everything needs to succeed loudly to matter. Some creations finish their story quietly, without applause, and that is enough. As your thoughts linger on these forgotten creations, complete, intact, and resting, let go of the idea that usefulness must be constant. Sometimes, existence itself is the final purpose. From here, we'll drift toward the last natural transformation in our journey, where living forests fell silent, not through decay, but through time itself turning them gently into stone. There was a time when forests stood where deserts now stretch, and rivers flowed through places that today know only stone and silence. Trees rose slowly, season after season, adding rings that marked the passage of years no one counted. Leaves opened and fell. Roots spread quietly through soil. And then, without urgency, everything changed. Petrified wood and fossilized forests are not the result of sudden endings. They are the outcome of patience meeting circumstance. When trees fall in environments rich in minerals, often near volcanic activity or ancient floodplains, their organic material is not allowed to disappear in the usual way. Instead, it is replaced, molecule by molecule, by stone. This process does not rush. The shape of the tree remains. The texture of bark stays intact. Even growth rings survive, preserved in mineral form. What once bent in the wind becomes rigid, yet familiar. Not alive, but not erased. Colors emerge slowly during this transformation. Iron adds reds and browns. Manganese brings soft purples and blues. Silica contributes pale whites and glassy translucence. These colors are not painted on. They are quiet records of chemistry, settling gently into place as time passes. Entire forests have undergone this transformation together. Trunks lie where they fell, aligned by ancient currents or storms. No effort is made to rearrange them. The landscape accepts their stillness and builds around it. Soil accumulates. Layers form. And above, new ecosystems rise and fall, unaware of the stone forest sleeping below. What makes petrified wood especially calming to think about is its dual nature. It looks like life, but behaves like stone. It reminds us that endings don't always erase form. Sometimes, they preserve it, changing substance while keeping memory intact. Unlike fossils that capture a single moment, petrified wood captures duration. Years of growth, seasons of change, decades of quiet persistence, all locked into mineral structure. Each ring is a whisper of time passing gently. When these forests are discovered, they do not feel lost. They feel paused. As if growth simply stopped mid-thought and decided to remain that way. There is no sense of urgency to restore or revive them. Their story is complete as it is. As you imagine these stone trees resting beneath open skies, let your thoughts slow with them. They grew without haste. They transformed without resistance. And now they remain patient, silent, and whole. With this final natural transformation, our journey through rare objects begins to settle. What remains is not discovery, but reflection on what it means to notice, to preserve, and to let the world rest when it needs to. By now, the world beneath the surface feels quieter than when we began. Not emptier, just calmer. We've drifted past stones that took millions of years to learn their shape, objects that crossed space only to rest, lives paused so gently they never fully disappeared. None of these rare things asked to be extraordinary. They became so simply by being allowed to exist undisturbed. There is something reassuring in that thought. Rarity, in this sense, is not about ownership or spectacle. It isn't about value assigned by markets or museums. It's about survival through patience. About processes that were never interrupted. The earth does not rush to create wonders. It lets them arrive when conditions are ready, and then it lets them sleep. When we uncover these objects, we often describe the moment as a discovery. But in truth, nothing new has happened for the object itself. It has not awakened. It has not changed. Only our awareness has shifted. We noticed something that had been waiting without expectation. That shift carries a quiet responsibility. To observe without urgency. To preserve without disturbing. To understand without needing to possess. Many rare objects are damaged not by time, but by attention. Exposure to air, light, touch. Curiosity that moves too quickly. In contrast, the Earth's way of keeping things safe is remarkably simple: cover them, cool them, leave them alone. There's a lesson there that extends beyond geology or history. Not everything benefits from being brought into the light all at once. Some things reveal more when approached slowly. Some stories unfold best when they're allowed to remain partially untold. As we reflect on everything we've passed, the sleeping minerals, the frozen air, the silent metals, the paused forests, it becomes clear that Earth's greatest archive is not loud. It doesn't label its shelves or organize its collections. It trusts time to do the sorting. And time, it turns out, is very careful. Perhaps that's why these stories feel so soothing. They remind us that the world does not demand constant motion. That waiting is not wasted time. That stillness can be productive in ways we don't immediately recognize. As your thoughts drift through this quiet summary, there's no need to hold on to details. Let them soften. Let the images blur gently at the edges. The purpose here was never to memorize, but to slow down, to match the pace of a planet that has been patient far longer than we ever will be. In the final moments of our journey, we won't introduce anything new. Instead, we'll simply allow the world we've uncovered to settle back into rest, just as it was before we noticed it. There are places on Earth where silence feels intentional. Museums with dim lighting. Archive rooms sealed behind thick doors. Remote landscapes where nothing appears to have happened for a very long time. These are the spaces where many rare objects eventually come to rest, not because they were placed there with ceremony, but because there was nowhere else they needed to be. Some are kept behind glass, carefully labeled, their surroundings controlled to slow time even further. Others remain exactly where they were found, protected by isolation rather than walls. And many more are still undiscovered, resting comfortably beneath soil, ice, or water, with no awareness that they are rare at all. What's comforting about this final thought is that rarity does not depend on recognition. An object does not become meaningful because we notice it. It becomes meaningful because of the story it already carries, formed quietly, patiently, without urgency. Discovery does not complete these objects. It merely places us briefly in their presence. For those who wish to explore further, there are countless quiet paths. Geological sites where time is written in stone. Museums that specialize not in spectacle, but in preservation. Books that trace the slow processes of Earth rather than its dramatic moments. These are not places of excitement. They are places of listening. And listening, as you may have noticed tonight, requires very little effort. Perhaps the most important part of this journey is not what we've learned, but how we've moved through it. Slowly, gently, without rushing toward conclusions. The Earth has been telling these stories all along, but it tells them in a whisper, not a shout. As we reach the end, there's nothing to resolve. No final fact to hold on to. Just the awareness that beneath the surface of everything familiar lies a deeper stillness, one that continues whether we are paying attention or not. If you'd like, you can imagine these rare objects settling back into their resting places now. Minerals deep in rock. Metals in darkness. Forests turned to stone. Air locked in ice. All of them exactly where they belong. And you, too, are allowed to rest. As the night stretches on, let the images soften and drift apart. The stones no longer need names. The objects no longer need stories. They can fade into a gentle sense of presence, quiet, steady, and unbothered by time. Your breathing can slow now, without instruction. Each breath arriving easily, leaving without effort. There is nowhere else to be. Nothing left to learn tonight. Imagine the Earth beneath you, vast and calm, holding everything without strain. It has done this for billions of years. It knows how to wait. And for a little while, you can wait with it. Thoughts may still pass by, but they don't need attention. Let them move on, the way sediment settles after water grows still. What remains is not emptiness, but balance. If sleep is close, there is no need to reach for it. Let it arrive on its own. And if you're simply resting, that's enough too. The world outside will continue turning. Rare objects will continue sleeping. And this moment, quiet, unhurried, can simply be what it is.